Greetings, spirit beings, greetings, supreme being. Welcome to my channel, Try Something.Vegetarian, where all the human race, our common enemy is death, so we must invest in controlling these factors that control aging instead of more illegal wars in the Middle East. And this is the video alarming World War III over Iran to build third temple finally happening, prevent World War III, create universal peace. Didn't fit into the title. They're using a buzzsaw, and at the same time they're also attacking my neck with a directed energy weapon, liquefying my spine. So I think that they are murdering me, and they've also erased my memory, an important thought I had about World War, something in relation to that I wrote before, that I wanted to put in this broadcast. So I think it's clear they've planned a third Jesuit World War. How else can they get rid of 7 billion people and build a third temple, which is their stated goal? Population reduction to 500 million. Clear from their book quotes, which they call population control, illegal population reduction. And how is it possible that these people that advocate decide to commit genocide, that advocate population reduction, are not arrested, and other people that advocate killing one person are locked up for a disproportionate amount of time? Can anybody answer me my questions, or is my channel unfindable, blocked by the YouTube algorithms, which I find hard to believe? Then perhaps it's possible someone else is hacking it, giving me an impossibly low amount of viewers. Easy to prove, because all other people that make live broadcasts get more views than I do, even if they make terrible, horrible broadcasts. So, yeah, I have prepared this, of course. So it's their stated goal, keep that in mind and be prepared with a radiological water filter and storable food. And I can just explain what I'm going to do in this broadcast. Also, they have made a game, World War III. So if you Google World War III, you get references to this game on the Microsoft Windows platform. And where is the stuff that I've prepared? Yesterday I was watching a very weird broadcast, QAnon, but I already have a Canon, so I don't need QAnon. Ezekiel, the smallest gun in the world. Spectre of war looms between US and Iran as Trump makes shocking move. This is uploaded by World War III News, BHTV. So perhaps I'll watch some of these videos. But the plan is to go through the videos that have been produced most recently about the topic World War III Iran. So basically you can add Iran to your search to prevent finding all these war games. And the only way to win the game of thermonuclear warfare is not to play according to War Games, the movie with Matthew Broderick, because there would be mutually assured destruction, and a scalar war would be even worse for those that believe that scalar weapons have made nuclear weapons obsolete. You could argue that's not true if they're frozen in endothermic mode or exothermic mode, like Tom Bearden claims. Then they wouldn't feel a thing, it would be instant, and their bodies wouldn't start to rot for 2 weeks or so if they are frozen to death. Spectre of war looms between US and Iran as Trump makes shocking move. So Nikola Tesla's invention superseded the invention of the atomic bomb by 40 years, just about. Atomic bomb 1945 and Tesla's invention in 1905, or somewhere along those lines. Perhaps I covered that in my previous broadcast, perhaps that's what I wanted to recall. Anyway, so I've copied the titles and the data of these videos that we can watch on YouTube, and then I've made a story about that or relating to these titles, and the titles speak in and of themselves, but it's weird that we see these videos with a text-to-speech engine. That's a technique I also use, but I make an intro and I tell people what it's about, and I'm a real person, and when people are watching something in only a text-to-speech engine, they think, oh, this is nonsense. They disbelieve it, I think, to a great extent. Anyway, let's read what I've written down about this stuff then. I'm curious myself. So you can see they're blocking the text-to-speech engine. I can copy it up to 3 times before it starts reading. It's supposed to start reading when I copy the text 1 time. And that's done with the same technology used to crash these planes into the WTC, Tesla's radiant energy, which he created to end all wars, not to reduce the global population to 500 million and rule the world from Jerusalem, according to his own quote. And Tesla was a vegetarian.
Alarming. World War III over Iran to build third temple finally happening? Prevent WW3. Spectre of war looms between US and Iran as Trump makes shocking move. World War III news. BNTV 212 views 4 days ago. Text-to-speech engine video with pictures. War rhetoric. Iran claims to have the father of all bombs. The final nuclear destructive war. Michelin fire flood 103 views 2 weeks ago. Religious drivel type video possibly telling the truth about the Jesuits' third planned world war. This story was reported before in 2017. Iran claims to have father of all bombs, overshadowing American. September 16, 2017, a top commander of Iran's Islamic Revolution Guards Corps, IRGC, claims that the country possesses the father of all bombs. RT.com, Russian television. The Moab is the largest non-nuclear weapon ever used in combat by the U.S. military. Its explosion is equivalent to 11 tons of TNT and the blast radius is a mile wide. Independent.co.uk September 17, 2017.
So we see that they're reporting again about something about which they reported in 2017 already. Why? And it's non-nuclear, so do they want to use this as some kind of excuse for what they've done already? In one of my previous broadcasts I also covered the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, Iran's official army, and how they also plan to blacklist the US army and Trump did label them as a terrorist group or whatever. Something down along those lines, but it's just best to be prepared. There is no valid argument not to be prepared with a radiological water filter and storable food.
World War revelation. Russia warns the USA military not to engage Iran. US Army using AI. Full spectrum survival 12K views 2 weeks ago. Spoken text video. Perhaps the Bilderbergers convened to secretly play darts in the expensive hotel, not to decide the fate of the world at all, nor to discuss plans for population reduction and to build a third temple and rule the world from Jerusalem. They used 5 dart boards, not a round table. Perhaps these book quotes of people advocating a population reduction only exist to round up everyone that would help with their population reduction plan. Soon the AI will take them out and they will have loads of fun to get her. World War III. Iran issues huge oil threat to U.S. We will close the Strait of Hormuz. USA Daily News. One view 1 month ago. Fred Trump Jr., 1938 to 1981, was Donald Trump's older brother. While attending Lehigh University, he joined a Jewish fraternity, Sigma Alpha Mu, even though he was not Jewish. Wiki/family_of_Donald_Trump. This does not prove Trump is Jewish. Someone in a YouTube chat referred to Trump as a crypto Jew and he claimed that Trump's brother was in the Jewish fraternity at college. I do doubt the idea that Jewish fraternities don't do a background check and that anybody pretending to be Jewish can join. Only men can join fraternities. Fraternities discriminate women. In 1981, he died as a result of his ongoing alcoholism. His death caused Donald Trump to avoid alcohol and cigarettes. Jews pushing America into war with Iran destroys WW3 views 7 years ago. Everything is energy, so they want to pretend there are non-sustainable types of energy to get some more money? Sustainable energy is a principle in which human use of energy meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Oh yeah? Then what about telluric power, sea energy, which is more efficient than wind energy? According to many, including Trump, global warming is a hoax. Global warming is just an eco-tax money scam run by the NASA Masons and others.
So we can review that AI video a little bit. I think that's perhaps the most interesting one. And that's not a text-to-speech engine video. There's a real person talking.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Full Spectrum Survival's News on the Night Shift, covering important news.
Yep, this is the YouTube channel Full Spectrum Survival, published April 5th, 2019, and now it's already 21st of April.
News events for the evening of April 5th of the year 2019. Russia is warning the United States of America and its military and government against finding a reason to go to war with Iran, with the overwhelming belief that a war between Israel, the US, and Iran will lead to a wider war between major militarized nations across our planet, and quite possibly, we note, the introduction to a third world war across our Earth. The Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson had the following to say on the US and Iran and its military and government. The evening of April 5th of the year 2019. Russia is warning the United States of America and its military and government against finding a reason to go to war with Iran, with the overwhelming belief that a war between Israel, the US, and Iran will lead to a wider war between major militarized nations across our planet.
The idea is that a third world war may be impossible, but they're not stupid enough to self-annihilate, and that Trump will have an agreement with Putin before doing anything about ISIS or stealing the cancer oil, which he claimed several times he wants to do. Or pretending that they had weapons of mass destruction like the Iraqis, which was the pretense under which they did their depleted uranium war crime, for which Bush and Netanyahu were not brought to justice or punished in any way.
And quite possibly, we note, the introduction to a third world war across our Earth. The Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson had the following to say on the US and Iran. We were surprised to read the statement by U.S. State Department Special Representation for Iran Brian Hook, in which he claims that Iran is involved in the death of 600 U.S. troops in Iraq. There is an impression that the U.S. is thinking up another excuse to explain the escalation of relations with Iran if they deem it appropriate.
Oh, and 1 million dead Iraqi people are left out. How convenient.
Russian military strategists question the timing of a U.S. move on Iran. They warn that Russia is already moving its military into positions around the United States of America, with one such strategist warning that the USA must be careful not to become the next regime change that a major country of our Earth sees. Interesting words. In other news, the government of South Korea has declared a national emergency as strategists warning that the USA must be careful not to become the next regime change that a major country of our Earth sees. Interesting words. In other news, the government of South Korea has declared a national emergency as wildfires, which are said to have started with a spark that came off of a transformer in the eastern province of Gangwon, are ravaging the area.
Well, it's obvious they've weather weapons, and you can see what they've done in Iran. And they're modifying the jet stream, and ionospheric heaters are real.
They're said to have already burned over 500 hectares and have destroyed over 200 homes, causing thousands of people to evacuate without enough notice to gather more than their loved ones and medicine. Over 16,000 soldiers and 800 fire engines are reported to be working on the fires at this time, with officials issuing a dire report, warning that strong winds are causing the fires to spread further across.
And they are the Jesuits and Masons. I don't mean all Americans or all UN people or all Jews or all Muslims. The Jesuits and Masons that, according to Citizens Action Network on Facebook, control the intelligence agencies. All intelligence agencies are Masonic and controlled by the Jesuits, according to Citizens Action Network, and you all cannot disprove that to me. So just going on a hunch with something that important is not a good idea.
The region. An act that has caused authorities in the area to warn that many thousands more will need to be evacuated, or they will be left to consume or to succumb to this disaster. Wildfires are a natural disaster, in this case driven by mankind, but they are a vicious reminder to our community that we must have a plan in place to help our families and to help our group through better preparedness in combination with an evacuation location that has already been set on a physical map and coordinated with our family members or our group if we are unable to remain in our homes during an emergency. While many emergencies give you the preservation of right to shelter in place, having a location to evacuate to when you are unable to remain in your homes will give you and your loved ones, your family, an advantage over thousands, possibly millions of others who are unable to go anywhere besides government-provided evacuation centers.
If the AI is controlling your mind, then how are you going to survive this?
In other news, the soldiers of our near future will have robotics and artificial intelligence incorporated into their everyday tasks. From the upkeep of a stationary base site to engaging enemy combatants. New research from the U.S.
So it's always about spying on your cancer cell phone calls, on your cancer cell phones and your emails, never about synthetic telepathy, spying on your brain waves, on your actual thoughts and ideas with the synthetic telepathy machine as described in the Malech patent. I might re-upload it video, but you can easily check it out with Google. The apparatus to remotely monitor and alter brain waves. And they use scalar waves, not microwaves, keep it clear. So people in my environment and the environment of other targeted individuals and in your environment are also brain controlled. But because they want to isolate targeted individuals and blame them of the crimes they're guilty of themselves, to shift the blame from the guilty themselves to the innocent, they control people in your environment, basically. Perhaps they've erased my idea, so I have to think a bit. Also a little bit of a headache. But they're targeting my brain stem, so that's... and it's not the pain that I feel with Zika mosquito bites, but it is a good idea to use colloidal silver and probiotics to immunize yourselves, of course. And I mentioned these things several times that I think are important in several videos to save the maximum number of human lives So you may break any commandment to save a human life except the 3 cardinal sins. That's called pikuach nefesh in Hebrew. And a population reduction to 500 million doesn't really rhyme with thou shalt not kill. So yeah, they may have erased that thought. Let's continue the video.
Army Research Laboratory, publishing data in the journal Science Advances, shows that the U.S. government is attempting to integrate men and women in service, that are in service to the government, we note, and artificial intelligence, essentially creating a less objectionable interface that can be better managed from an overreaching authority. According to the research, the U.S. Army envisions a future battlefield that is wrought with teams of soldiers and autonomous systems. And as part of this future battlefield, the U.S. Army is looking to create technologies that can predict states and behaviors of the individual. This is in order to create a more optimized team, claims Dr. Jean Vittel, a senior neuroscientist at the Combat Capabilities Development Command Army Research Laboratory, which is the U.S. Army's corporate research laboratory, also known as ARL. While this research, according to the scientists, focuses on a single person, the purpose is to understand how an individual's brain activity can be used to create novel strategies for a teaming, winning environment, both for teams with soldiers as well as teams with autonomy. Looking at a bigger picture in which the entire teams are working at the behest of an intelligent machine process.
So it's clear we must stop self-annihilating and start investing in controlling all factors that control aging, if we want to get that during our lifetimes, and otherwise it's possible we'll be dead for the rest of eternity. But don't worry, we won't notice it, because it's just eternal nothingness.
Researchers claim that much how the brain coordinates regions that can carry out specific functions, you can think of how this method may describe coordinated teams of individuals and autonomous systems of varied skills working together to complete a mission. In opposition to this, researchers that stand opposed to the integration of mankind and machine through artificial intelligence warn that psychology presses for total reliance in the brains of those that adhere to it, to its integration with AI. With this,
With this stuff, it's important that we stay in or get control of the AI, and otherwise I wouldn't allow it or want it to control my brainwave. And if it's not helping us but annihilating 7 billion people, then I have to oppose that and take steps to prevent that from happening for myself as well as my fellow humans. I don't want to live in a negative dystopia where everybody's tortured, and dystopia is always fictional.
They warn that we will see men and women in the militaries of the future becoming less attached to the humans that they engage against, allowing government bodies to push for strict engagement without concern for moral or justifiable considerations. Imagine a day, warns one researcher, in which police officers in your area are alerted, mistakenly, by artificial intelligence that your behavior indicates the hiding of paraphernalia, a firearm, or that your posture indicates that you are likely to engage with the officer in combat. Relying completely on the AI, they warn, we will see a lot.
So I've always made it clear they have through-the-wall radar and synthetic telepathy, and yet they didn't prevent the Breivik attack and the Tarrant attack. And they're both Knights Templar associated, so we demand an investigation into the Knights Templar. And I think, of course, annihilating 7 billion people, that's a whole different ball game, basically. So they want to do a lot more than Hitler did with their inside jobs, etc.
Loss of life and an increase in pre-crime driven arrests and prosecutions that will bring the First World that much closer to complete tyranny and an anti-technological revolution. Moving on, as officials in the United States question ties that are linked to national security and funding between the United States of America, its military and government, and Saudi Arabia, researchers warn that the Saudis are near completion of a nuclear power plant that will have a lasting and visibly dangerous implication for Middle Eastern security and a drive for both nuclear power and nuclear weapons within that region of our planet. The military-industrial complex is alive and well, warns one researcher. We have destitution across our planet, and even within the borders of the very nations in question. And yet billions of dollars are spent funding unnecessary military projects that pad the pockets of the already extremely wealthy, those who stand to gain behind the barely drying ink of the deals that push these massive amounts of money around our planet between governments and militaries. A special thank you to each one of our Patreon members for making the News on the Night Shift possible. If you'd like to sponsor us, please go to fullspectrumsurvival.com. This episode of the Night Shift News is also brought to us in part by MiraSafety.com, offering world-class gas masks and personal protective gear. They offer it for civil, military, and law enforcement use. Use the code FSS10, you'll get 10% off of your order. And ESTgear.com, offering what
So yeah, survival is the most important thing, really. Your life is the most important thing, that's number one. Not selfless love. And number two is real love. And number three is the real law. My book, which is perfect, of course, because I made it perfect for me, and yours, your book, etc. Oh yeah, let's turn on that buzzsaw to wake me up. Isn't that the most pleasant sound you've ever heard? It's wonderful. This could go on all week. And that's legal, of course. But if you play a little music, then they lock you up in an orange cell on your birthday day long without food. So watch out. That's the spoor in Amsterdam, SPOR. For psychiatric mental evaluation, basically. Been there, done that. So, I'm still not forcibly drugged Suprexa death person. So that fits in with eugenics. There are plans to sterilize everyone, like Theodor Kaufmann, the Houghton plan to sterilize all German people, etc. And probably there are still people that are for that as well. I don't know about the legality of that. I'm not remote torture weapon, synthetic telepathy controlled judge. You see, so there you go. But yeah, prepping, that's it. Radiological water filter is basically the main thing you'll need, as well as a shelter or safe country. There will not be a safe country if the event is nuclear and there's a 7-year nuclear winter. God forbid. It would be worse than the situation we're in now. Global Armageddon superseding the coming of the cancer scaler, or Armageddon, Mashiach, Messiah. Many rabbis and scholars who predicted that already. And if they have a time-traveling neural network, then perhaps they already know what will be. They might have a different view of this reality, perceive it in a totally different manner. But non-Jews and Jews are your fellow humans, and we're all all the human race, our common enemy is death. And there's so many conclusions you can base upon that fact, really. So perhaps I should be repeating that only in one video on YouTube for 24 hours, where all the human race, our common enemy is death. We are all the human race, our common enemy is death. Like that. Almost 2 people dying every second, yet it's not us, so we don't care that much. So I think it's a degenerate plan of Trump to invest $1 trillion in revising the American nuclear arsenal, instead of invested in controlling factors that control aging, achieving negligible senescence, which is hopefully done in 20 to 25 years, but if there's a world war, then it can set them back for 100 years or more, because then there's 93% chance that they'll exterminate the person that will create it, because it might not be the people they want and that they're financing, but someone else. They want to create it. Well, it's clear they don't want to die, but if they think that far ahead is another matter. If they're more short-term gratification than long-term chaos-minded or whatever. More short-term gratification and long-term gratification, bestowing maximum fulfillment upon all organisms. So I doubt this because the claim is Russia warns, but this may be mainstream media. So it might be mentioned somewhere, perhaps it's even in this video, who is warning the US military not to engage Iran. And one important point is they're all controlled by these Jesuits. Now their leader is Arturo Sosa, and the Knights of Malta also have more to do with the planned world war, if there is such a plan, which they deny. They pretend to have planned the opposite world peace. They're also endorsing a 2-state solution, world war basically, and pretend that it's the only way to bring peace to the Middle East, though it's the only way to create a world war between Palestine and Israel, basically. And it looks like Trump is not going ahead with it. I'm not 100% sure they're not going to do a 2-state solution world war anymore. That it's definitely going to be Iran. Also because of the guard score thing that they did, and the sanctions especially, and Russia being an ally of Iran. And also, so it's not associated with them, but with Iran, basically. After their population reduction to 500 million. But interesting stuff. AIs have predicted other things successfully. So AI is not a double-edged sword. Because that can only kill. AI can be programmed to make us all eternal, to modify our DNA with the radiant energy of Nikola Tesla, also called scalar waves. And it can also be used to annihilate global population. But a sword can only be used to kill, basically it cannot be used. Period. And I'm looking at that spade thing, basically it could also work. So if it, well, why do they still sell swords then? Well, the thing is, if they'd ban all guns, then you would have people starting to use other weapons more. There we hear fireworks or whatever it is already. Set tires, perhaps. So world war must be prevented and universal peace must be created. So focusing on universal peace, on what we want to have, is better than reacting to all the evil and not taking steps towards creating that perfect society in which we all will live happily eternally. Well, you can't chop wood with a spade, basically. So what's this meant to supposed to suggest? See that wood, and then a spade made to outperform. A hardened steel reinforced shovel head is tough enough for any situation, and the military-grade aluminum handle makes it lightweight and easy to work with. Protection. Well, war rhetoric, Iran claims to have the quote father of all bombs, but that isn't even nuclear, so no reason for sanctions. When the sanctions are meant to prevent them from creating a nuclear bomb, supposedly. How World War III will start, the Bible answers in 90 seconds. The Torah says this, the Bible says that. It's PS Bravo Sierra, since the Bible does not speak. The neural network, synthetic telepathy, voice of God weapon can definitely speak any language, that's no problem. How the China-Taiwan dispute could cause World War III. Well, I'd have to look at who their allies are. I'm not gonna do that right now. Or perhaps I should. So these are nations hostile to the Chinese, according to Quora.com, which may be copied from some other website, of course. In Taiwan, what was it about? Okay. How the China-Taiwan dispute could cause World War III, okay. But now for Chinese allies, Russia, North Korea, etc. Hmm. Well, then it's harder to see why that cannot spark World War III. Well, it's just a dispute, and perhaps they're smart enough not to let that escalate and not to let them be played out against each other. But some people may have planned a world war, so then that's also a video worth checking out if you ask me, uploaded by the Cavernacle for 2 views 1 month ago, but it's 15 minutes. World War III. Iran issues huge oil threat to US. Quote, we will close the Strait of Hormuz, and quote, Daily News 1 month ago already. So that's one thing they can do, and that would also make the cancer oil prices go up. And of course, I think it is good to remember my virtual DJ is off. Well, I can just turn it on and see if my CPU explodes. No EMP yet. So stuff you want to keep has to be on a CD-ROM or DVD-ROM if there's ever an EMP, which could also be caused by a solar storm, other nuclear events. Again, so that's the third time it's supposedly been updated. Probably I need to start it in administrator mode, because it was updated 3 times in a short period. Okay. We can watch both videos of Trump saying he'll take the oil, etc.
Whoa, this is great. ISIS is making a tremendous amount of money because they have certain oil camps, right? They have certain areas of oil that they took away. They have some in Syria, some in Iraq. I would bomb the out of them. I would just bomb those suckers. And that's right. I'd blow up the pipes. I'd blow up the I'd blow up every single inch. There would be nothing left. And you know what? You'll get Exxon to come in there, and in 2 months, you ever see these guys, how good they are, the great oil companies? They'll rebuild that sucker brand new. It'll be beautiful. And I'd ring it, and I'd take the oil. And I said, I'll take the oil.
Take back the oil. Once you go over and take back that oil, they have nothing.
But how do you take it back?
Right, you have to go in. You have to go in.
With ground troops.
Well, you bomb the hell out of them, and then you encircle it, and then you go in, and you let Mobil go in, and you let our great oil companies go in. Once you take that oil, they have nothing left.
So basically it could be the voice of the rest of the world, or the voices of other people that don't agree with the imperialism, they don't agree with invading other countries, a la Hitler, the illegal wars in the Middle East, the depleted uranium babies still being born, and they'll be born for 4.5 million years, the half-time of depleted uranium. And I do promote nudity, but now I'm wearing my shirt again. So I think people can think about how to prevent a world war. Also protests on Dam Square and worldwide can be a tool. Other tool is boycotting. It's another tool consumers can use to influence the future, the timeline, if you will. And thinking about a safe place. If the air alarm would go off right now, where would you go? Do you have a prepper bag with radiological water filter, storable food, gas masks, some iodine pills, and whatever you need to survive? Or do you think it's better not to be prepared? If it's happening, then it's better to go away and join everybody in the fictional paradise that you supposedly, according to some, have to believe in to be able to enter it also. Or will it be a smart AI that will judge people on their merit, on the things they've done, rather than on the things they said? If it has time travel capability, it can go through the whole life of a person in a couple of milliseconds perhaps, and know all their innermost secrets. It's a synthetic telepathy machine. And then it can take that loose bone and regrow the person, and then we're back. I don't see it happening just yet. But I think the AI will become near almighty, though it will never become the creator of heaven and earth. So it will never become God. Everything is energy, so all it takes to become almighty is mastering, channeling the energy. Thinking if I can add some important stuff. Well, one thing is having an agreement with Putin to avoid a world war and mutually assured destruction. Agreement of between Trump and Putin. Another option is that Putin doesn't retaliate or do anything about illegal wars in the Middle East. And another option is that the US doesn't do anything that could evoke a world war. So no sanctions on Iran and verifying what evidence there is that proves they are attempting to create a nuclear bomb, if any of these accusations are true. Verifying both sides of the story, testing everything you learn to get to the truth, basically, which can be worth more than gold. And perhaps they will have a matter generator, matter transformer, so then they can create as much gold as they like at extremely low cost. So perhaps one day it will not be a rare metal anymore. And perhaps if they have such a matter generator already, they keep it secret. And then there are the missing trillions and stuff, so there's a lot of stuff that I could read more about. But I think that it's not just probable or extremely likely, but certain that they're gonna attempt to create a world war and get rid of the Al-Aqsa Mosque somehow, which looks nicer than what they want to build, if you ask me. I like the blue with the gold, and not another blocky building that looks like a flat apartment or Greek, huge oversized Greek. What do they call it? I saw that video recently, Summer Lovers or something, with Daryl Hannah. Condo, apartment complexes rented to the tourists, etc. Really beautiful in Greece, white, and on the rocks with sandy beaches, etc. Nice clean water. Very nice. So yeah, the lighting conditions are horrible. That's making it worse. I really am gonna get some sunshine, and people that are prepared have a chance to survive it. People that are not prepared don't have any chance. If it's gonna be nuclear and they don't have a radiological water filter, people need water regularly, so stay hydrated. It's good to drink a lot. And the more water you drink, the bigger the diuretic effect, so the more water your body will lose. So basically drinking more water doesn't fill you up with more water in your body. It actually creates more flow so that you lose water. So it's also a way to lose weight. And drinking too much water can also kill people, so there is a limit to the amount people can drink. Okay, I'll have to think about it, and perhaps I can do another broadcast about this subject when I have more information. Then I'll update you all. And it's better to think of reasons why a world war over Iran cannot happen. So if you know such reasons, please let us know in the comments, and I can also cover it. The Israeli Secret Intelligence Service perhaps know why it cannot happen, if they're really smart. I'm not hearing it yet. I think I'm hearing somebody say, "Oh my God," or something like that, but it's very far away. Okay, well, salam, shalom, do stuff for universal peace, and try something vegetarian or even vegan. Vegan, it's healthiest to be vegan if you take enough vitamin B12. And if you don't do that, then it's healthier to be a cadaver eater. Okay, peace. Stop streaming button was hidden.